Hey guys, you can probably hear table tennis in the back room. You might even hear the of beer cans. It's Friday afternoon in Australia and we are pulling stumps for the week. But before we do, I just wanted to sneak back into the studio with these guys as they were packing up and say, wait, I want to do one more thing. I want to talk about this, the Tudor Black Bay 58 Bronze Boutique Edition. I've got some things to say about it. All right, so the reason I wanted to talk about it is this is actually the first Tudor I've bought in 5 years. It's been a long time. And if you backdate to 2015, 2016, when that was, it was the purchase of the original Black Bay Red. There was so much I loved about this watch. It was the tone of red, that sort of oxblood burgundy red. I love the distressed leather strap. I love the aged dial, color and texture. It really was the first watch to give a sense of history, a sense of having already had a life, and yet it was this sparkly new dive watch as well. I loved it, and I was mad about my first Tudor Black Bay. I was mad about the first Tudor Black Bay, but a lot of time has passed. And the question is, with the entrance of the Black Bay 58, how could I not have partaken? This watch is just too good. It is extremely well priced. It is spec'd well beyond its price bracket as far as I'm concerned. And there's nothing about this watch that you can quibble over in terms of its looks, in terms of its performance. But for me, it was just a little too conservative. It didn't really have a strong character. Certainly the OG, the original 58, with the red triangle, with some of those gilt elements, it was a lovely watch. Very tempting, but I just never quite pulled the trigger. Until that same 58 was offered in this COSC certified boutique bronze edition. I need to explain a little bit about what happened on this night. It was the opening of the first Tudor boutique in Australia, and it was the launch of the first Tudor boutique edition. I've always lusted after those hard to get Tudors, the Bucherer Blue, the Harrods Green. These are watches that when you see them in the wild, you know that not only has that person got good taste, but they've traveled. There'll no doubt be a story about how they got this watch. So I thought I'd put together just a quick kind of list of 5 reasons that I pulled the trigger on my first Tudor in 5 years. Number 1, it's all about the bronze for me. In the same way that the first 2 models didn't quite cut through and were in silver and had fairly classic dials and bezel configurations, this one is really out there. And honestly, the warmth that this watch radiates and the way that this is cohesive, coherent in the metal is just not captured by the press shots. So when I landed at this event, I felt the floor drop away. It was instantly going to be something that I was going to be obsessed with. So I decided to end that there and then by picking it up. The second reason that I was tempted with this watch immediately is that I am impressed by Tudor's bronze alloys. My brother has the Black Bay 43, the original one with the solid brown dial, and he took that watch to the Kokoda Trail, which is a very significant war site for Australians, and he beat the hell out of it. He sweated, he banged it, he had all kinds of tropical rain and mud, and all that happened to the watch, despite all of those potentially corrosive elements and certainly elements that are going to accelerate the patina of the bronze, it just darkened slightly. And the stability of that alloy has something to do, no doubt, with the fact that it is an aluminium-based alloy, which again, I can attest to the fact that this watch will patina very evenly, and I expect that it will be a more burnished gold over time as opposed to a green or a black. We will see, and it's going to be exciting. Certainly the bracelet, the way that ages, and the way that the bracelet plays with the wrist in sweaty weather, lots of things to discover, but I have confidence in this alloy. I can attest that my brother's Black Bay 43 looks even better now than it did when it came out of the box. Fittingly, number 3, my third reason for picking this watch up on the spot is that Explorer dial. I love the 369, and while I liked it on the Black Bay 43, and I said to my brother, that looks cool, having those gilt numbers on the dial, I felt that they were a little bit big. The proportions were, because the 43 is it's a more muscular, bigger watch. I'm not going to say my brother is, but the numbers were proportionate to that dial size and to the watch in general. Whereas this, I'm not going to say these numbers are petite. It's an Explorer dial. These are Explorer size numerals. It's, I don't know, I like the look of it. Number 4, I may not have been lit on fire by the way that the first two 58s came to life, but I was very impressed and actually very attracted to the specs of the watch. I love an 11.5 to 12 millimeters thin or thick watch, because that is a super comfortable size. 39 millimeters is the classic diameter for daily wrist wear. The weight at 131 grams is perfect, heavy enough to feel like a luxury watch, but not so heavy that it's going to, scrape on your ulnar or give you any problems. And also the movement. This is the MT5400, which is a COSC certified movement. I mean, I'm going to bang the hell out of this thing, but also know that it's going to be up to that task. And to have suddenly a 58 that I'm excited about aesthetically and get to own all of that tech, it's a wonderful thing. Number 5, the 5th reason I bought this was it was a moment. I'm a sucker for this stuff. It was the first Tudor boutique in Australia. It was the first Tudor boutique edition, and I was there. This was all happening contemporaneously. It was a really uncanny kind of evening. Melbourne's been in lockdown for what feels like several centuries. I was so happy to be out. I might have had some champagnes in quick succession. It felt really good to be there. And also just to commemorate Tudor's time in Australia, because for a brand that in many countries was an unknown for many years, Tudor's been in Australia since 1932. There are many grandfathers and fathers who've passed down Tudor watches to each other. There are many jeweler co-signed Tudor watches that kick around this country. It's a brand we know and love, and to have been there at that moment, to be able to access a watch like this is, look, I just had to jump on it. So I wanted to jump in. You can hear, I don't know who's winning table tennis and I'm due for a beer, but thanks for joining us for essentially a behind the scenes shoot. And hey, if you ever get a chance to see this watch in the metal or in the bronze, go and do it, because I've had the whole team say to me today, that looks nothing like the Soldiers. So if they say it, you might say the same thing too. Have a great night, have a great day. Thanks for watching, and see you soon on Time and Tide.